and welcome to Generation W. I am so happy we're together today. This our last gathering of the season, and what a great gathering it will be. You know, this is our time to connect, to be inspired, to learn something, and ultimately feel a bit better for this time spent together. And I know every week that we do this, the feedback's always about feeling a little bit better for the time spent together. And you know that this is what Generation W is all about. So, what to say today, right? Because it's that time of year for reflection and resolution. What has been and what can be. We think of hopes that have been dashed and yearnings that seek a refueling with a change in the calendar. There's so much confusion, tumult, and yet resilience. A window into our souls of strength with the realization that we need to draw from within to connect with those around us, to make the miracles around us vibrant and visible. See them. The constancy remains in the undulating change we experience every day, the ups and the downs, and all around as we experience the ongoing tests of spirit and patience. I count blessings every day, for every day, no matter, there is a silver lining for us to find. Deb, we're going to talk about this today, I know. Once again, a new variant is on the rise. I actually flew to New York yesterday morning. I flew back today. And, you know, it's a very different world up in the Northeast than it is here. Cases are rising once again. That feeling of uncertainty. Where can we go? How do we stay healthy? But we do know now, and let's hold on to this antidote, the power of connection, the touching of hearts and minds. And that is why we continue to refresh during these Wednesday sessions, right? It's the joy of wonderful, generous, and really smart people who share their experience and bring us together to share ours, like Joy Kurtz. Joy, you are part of this joy. I have to say that. We had the chance to look back at all of the sessions we shared, and I have to say they brought smiles and prompts to rethink, or as Leah Jewell, who many of you have seen, and if you haven't, she's our employability and learning expert, and she would remind us to learn and unlearn. Unlearning in order to learn. Love that. Or Jill Oser, the founder of Teneral Wines, a female-founded focused business who both speaks about and demonstrates grit and grace. And by the way, her wines are pretty good. And she has a deal. Maybe we should put that in the chat as well. We'll visit some more of these wonderful gems from our outstanding guests this year, and hoping that you will have some to add to it as well. But how lucky are we for the woman in the adorable sweater that we get to do the year-round roundup of 2021 with Deb Levy. As a professional certified coach, Deb helps executives, solopreneurs, and people in career transition prioritize their goals and develop personalized roadmaps to success. Using research-based positive psychology strategies, Deb creates the structure her clients need to stay on task and makes the process of change an engaging experience. So in addition to coaching, Deb was an award-winning teaching fellow at Harvard, where she taught positive psychology alongside the world-renowned Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar and Shawn Achor. Today, she's alongside us as we are amidst the holiday season, where expectations for happiness and joy abound and less publicized, maybe we don't talk about it enough, are the realities of that stress and joy balance, right? This is a really stressful time. So today, Deb, we are honestly talking about a recalibration for our celebration, how we can chart an easier path. One is about stressing less. So, okay, where do we start, my friend? And welcome. Hi, Deb.
All right. Hi, Sherry. So great to be here with you. And excuse me, hi, is that your name, Donna? Hi, Donna. So great to be here with you too.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm totally stressed. You don't even remember me.
I don't even know your name. So one of the highlights of 2021 was Donna and I got to meet each other. We're like all Zoom friends. And so that's one of the highlights. Okay. So every coaching session I do, every workshop I do, I have people write down 3 good things that have happened in the last 24 hours. Right. And this is one of these positive psychology's research-based activities that if you do this for 1 week, even 6 months later, you'll have less depressive symptoms. Right. So that's my first gift to you for the holidays.
Wait, can we do this? Can we participate? This is
absolutely right now.
Okay, so we have to do 20 if in the
No,
last
just 3 good
24
things.
hours.
Just 3 good things that have happened in the last 24 hours. Okay, so you're right, I'll start, right? So number 1, today is the December holiday I celebrate, which is my beautiful daughter Aaliyah's 24th birthday. And the good thing is I wrapped her presents. Look at that.
What actually, you're reminding me of the female, what's his face? Mr.
Well, anyway, I mean, I actually have never wrapped pretty presents. And I guess the key to wrapping presents nicely is buying nice wrapping paper in bows. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to get ready. I actually dress the part of joy. Okay, so what I'll talk about today is that all of us, myself included, are not experiencing endless joy, but I did take the time to decorate. I put on my little holiday sweater, so I'm dressing the part. So I'm very happy about that. And number 3, honestly, is that I'm here with you. I have been looking forward to this, and this event has given me the excuse to talk to you. So I'm really excited. So those are my 3. What's your 3, Donna?
Well, I'm going to tell you that, but I want to encourage everybody to start putting their 3 in the, put them in the chat. That would be really great. All right. First of all, I wanted to say that I am very grateful to Delta Airlines for getting me home on time. You know, like travel can be really stressful. And as I said, I was in New York and I got on a flight first thing this morning and said, hey, however this works out, and it worked out beautifully. So I'm very grateful once again to Delta Airlines and for getting me home on time. I got to have a wonderful experience yesterday in New York, and one of them included seeing a Broadway show last night, which anytime I can see the theater, it just lifts my spirits. I just love it. And so that was really great. And of course, I want to join with your number 3, having the opportunity to be with you and all of our guests today, our Generation W Connection refreshers. I think it's like kind of a great way to wrap up a lot of what we've been doing this year. So that's me.
Great.
All right, let's see. Sherry's our producer, and Sherry, do you have 3 things you might want to add?
Sure, I can add that it's another Refresh Wednesday, so I always get excited and happy with Refresh Wednesdays. I get to practice with my team so that we can get better and I can have an influence on the girls basketball team that I coach. And then it's a sunny day up here in the Northeast. So
that is something to be happy about.
All good.
And Jill Metlin, thanks, Jill. Drove safely to my mom's and now visiting with her. Beautiful weather, great phone calls this morning. Great. Joy Kurtz, my twin grandsons came home from college. My granddaughter called on FaceTime and Sherry reached out to me with a lovely message. See, look, all of these are like really about connection, right? Suzanne had a last exam of 2-year. Oh, wow. She's going to get her MBA. Susanna, way to go. Getting to read for pleasure and upcoming Christmas break. We love that. So listen, as we said, with all the swirl, we've talked a lot this year about swirl. Deb, you're reminding us that there's lots of good things for us to find. There are silver linings every single day, and that gives us a positive focus. All right, you're on a roll, kid. What's next?
All right. So I want to tell the story of me coming here. It was funny. My first conversation was with Sherry a couple of weeks ago, and I was feeling the seasonal blues or just the stress of life, pandemic, isolation. You know, many people are feeling burnt out. There's, exceedingly high rates of anxiety and depression. So I was sort of feeling those blues, and she and I got to, have this conversation, and you and I got to talk earlier in the week. And so one of the things I just want to say is the holidays are stressful. If you love or hate the holidays, it's a stressful time. There's a lot going on for people. The other is the holidays, represents sort of, stereotypically kind of joyous times with families gathering and sharing presents and, being happy together. And that's just not the case for many people. So that is not people's experience. Some people's experience that there's a lot of joy and it's about gathering food and celebrations. But for many, it brings up a lot of stress. It brings up a lot of anxiety. It brings up a lot of loss and grief. A lot of people, as we know, have died of COVID, and a lot of people have died this year. And I have countless friends and clients who have lost somebody. So the holidays bring up a lot of sadness and grief. So I do think it's important to kind of discuss that this is hard and there's pressure. right? There's pressure this time of year to fit into these pretty pictures. So even me dressing in this cheerful way, I'm just mindful that this is not how I feel every minute of every day. So I think it's okay to say, look, I'm having a hard time and the holidays are stressful and I'm stressed. And how do we talk more openly about, stress, anxiety, depression, and the struggles people are having, which, is really exacerbated even more because of COVID.
I agree. As a matter of fact, we wrote a couple of things about the holiday season, right? The rush to celebrate, the rush to shopping, the rush to travel, the rush to feel happy, the rush to finish all those tasks, the rush to meet expectations, the rush to see family and those intended issues that may come with that. So this whole idea of recalibrating how we celebrate and opening up the fact that these things are there so we can address them and be honest with them so we can release some of the stress. I do want to say another happy moment is I want to say hello to Bridget. Bridget is, and this is a real happy thing for me. I think I've shared this with you before. Bridget lives in Ghana. She was a mentor that was a mentee assigned to me by the State Department of the United States in a program that we did with women business leaders. We've been in touch for over 15 years, and she actually ran up for political office in Ghana. And here she is saying, her happy thing is my niece came home for Christmas from Boston and my son from boarding school, all together again. Nice.
I love it.
Nice,
I love
right?
it.
Isn't there something about celebrating other people's joys that lift you up?
Yeah, I think one of the messages about the holidays that I love is about connecting, right? So it is about how do you find positive connections and meaningful connections and make time to do that. I know my school teacher friends, shout out to Ellen, who's taking a break from school, and my friend Karen, who's a school nurse, and, people on the front lines of schools are just so, working so hard and they're waiting for winter break. And so the holidays often are a time to connect with people and to, express your joy, love, and gratitude, right? The kind of culture says we give presents, but, presents is really sharing your love and telling people what they mean to you. So that's one of the things I think the holiday love is about, is actually taking the time to tell people what they mean to you and using those words and expressing gratitude. And in, the positive psychology research, we know that, writing gratitude letters, telling people why you're grateful for them, boosts your mood and well-being. And the best gift you can give is write a gratitude letter and read it to someone. Okay, so especially these times, economics are challenging for people, spending money. So I do think that is one of the gifts that we often take for granted, is just showing up and letting people know that we love them and why they're important to us, and thanking them for the things that they do. So I'll take this out there to really thank, I know my friends and my colleagues and my clients. I mean, I have a support team. So one of the things that's important around the holidays is to identify, if it's stressful, especially who's on your support team. Who can you reach out to and say, look, this is hard. It's hard to host. It's hard to shop. It's hard to be alone. So who is on your support team? So that's the next activity I'd like people to do, is just take a moment to write down the names of a couple of people who are there for you, to support you, because it is important to figure out who can support you during these challenging times. And then the other, who are the 3 people that you want to share your love and joy with?
Oh, that's awesome. Well, listen, while people are doing that, I just want to say hello to our Facebook friends. It's so nice. Irene Britt, we love Irene. Irene, we have to talk about Generation W, but she went for a run bike with her daughter. Her daughter is amazing. She's also been to Gen W. She played tennis and said had great meetings. That's a full day. That's all fantastic, right? Dana Robles, she woke up this morning. Actually, you know what? Moda Ani, right? I wake up this morning, which is pretty cool. Spending time with family. Nikki Glover. Nikki's a longtime Generation W community member, and wow, it's so great. David Loeb, Emmy Moore Minister. Hi, everybody. It's really great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in on our last gathering of the year as we actually celebrate being together, but also acknowledge the fact that these are tough times in a very tough, actually a tough time in the world, Deb, right?
Yeah, it is. And so the thing that's important during these holidays is to have self-compassion. Okay, and many of us, especially us women, are kind of used to giving to others and caring for others, and actually men too. So as loving people tend to love others, but we're often not as good to ourselves. Okay, so I think this is a time to have self-compassion, and that is just treat yourself like you would treat your best friend. and I'm a good best friend. I care about the people I love. I say kind things to them. I might not always say the kindest things to myself. It's true. So treating yourself with self-compassion, which just means, look, I'm doing the best I can. Okay.
What I heard you say was, let me just ask you this. I heard you talk about this and I loved it. Like, who needs to be at your holiday table?
Yes.
That graphic. So would self-compassion be at my holiday table?
Yes. All right. Thanks for reminding me, Donna. I forget how brilliant I am. Thanks for reminding me. All right. Yes.
Well, that's what a good friend does. We remind our friends how brilliant they are.
We remind who needs to be at your holiday table. Okay. So at the head of my holiday table would be self-compassion. And I'll go through a couple of the things that I think are important. And have been thinking about this is, you might have a holiday table for two. You might have a holiday table for one. So who needs to be at your holiday table? So one is self-compassion. That's being caring and empathetic toward yourself. Okay, cutting yourself some slack and saying some kind things to yourself. So that's one. I think the other is meaningful.
Deb,
yes, you can.
I'm gonna just jump in here.
You'll slow me down.
Everybody is invited to be part of the conversation. As you know, if you have questions, please post them. We'll get to them for sure. Why is it so hard for us to be self-compassionate? What does your positive psychology tell us? Why, as women in particular, well, David, we're so glad you're with us. Why is it so hard for us to do that?
Well, I think one is, we're socialized. Many of us women are socialized as to care for people, right? That we're here to care for people, to care for others, and that's a strength. And I think, again, it's women that's the role, running families, caring for others, being there for others, and men too. So my dear brothers are out there. I mean, they care for others. So I think it is caring for others, and we're often critical of ourselves. So we don't take care of ourselves because we tend to not, value ourselves, and we get the message that others are more important. So I think there's a lot of cultural messages to say that women need to take care of others, and that's how we get our value. We get our sense of who we are. But with that, we forget that we're the most important. And, on the airplane, Donna, what did they tell you when they gave the little message? They said, put your oxygen mask on first. Did they do that at Delta?
Delta did do that. They didn't change the message this year.
They didn't. Okay. So, the airlines probably were ahead of positive psychology. They've been around a long time, and they said, you have to put your oxygen mask on first. So I think that's important, that we care for ourselves, and it's hard. We take ourselves for granted. So that's at the head of my holiday table. Okay. So the other, so sitting next to self-care is radical, self-compassion is radical self-care. So the other thing that happens is we get thrown off by vacations and activities, and we forget to kind of engage in the daily self-care practices that many of us have and need. So I think it's important to say, what do I need today? And that's from, your exercise, your meditation. That's from just saying, look, I need to slow down, so that we prioritize our physical and mental health. And again, we have a mental health pandemic right now to go along with our COVID pandemic, and people are struggling. People's bandwidth is thinner. Is bandwidth thinner or thicker? Anyway, so I think it's important to say, what do I need?
Shorter or longer? What do you think?
It's the width, yes. So anyway, so taking time to come up with the habits and ask, what am I going to do to take care of myself during this holiday season? So that's an important question.
So all right. What will I do for me?
Yeah.
Which is a partner to self-compassion, I guess, right?
Yeah, best friend.
Particularly calling out the fact that I need to do something for me and not feel guilty about it.
Not feel guilty.
From a resource, time, or even financial perspective, I deserve this.
Say it out loud and proud, Donna.
I deserve this. It's hard. I'm being very real here, right?
Yes.
It's hard, right? We think about if we have children, what do we want to give to them, or our parents, or whatever. Although I'm really digging this gratitude letter, but I really want to do that. Anyway, okay, let's go.
Yeah,
Who else is at your table?
All right. So the other, and again, I'm sitting these people on the right-hand side of the table, and then there's rest and recovery time. Okay. So the research is that stress isn't a problem. Okay, so here's news, but the lack of recovery time is a problem. So chronic stress. Okay, and we know, many of the executives I'm coaching are doing year-end activities that they're not going to be able to put their heads up until the holiday break next week. Students, teachers, so people need to build in rest and recovery time and slow down, and that is from the unplugging, the taking the nap, to kind of having down days. I think the thing we all agree about, we all have this, December is winter vacation time. We're all school kids at heart. So really to build in rest and recovery time, there's lots of hustle and bustle and events for some people to do. So to really build in rest and recovery time, that's really important, if you can.
Okay. If you can. Well, yeah. Okay, but right. Okay.
All right. And then the other one I think that's important is really also to make space for that this holidays might be really challenging, right? So I like to, in all our Jewish services, we always we make space for people who are gone. So there's a lot of grief and sadness, So, actually, Hal's out there. I'm thinking about his best friend Steve and the De Gregorios, who Steve's not here this year, and this is going to be their first holiday. It's going to be really, really hard. I'm thinking of my daughter Aaliyah's best friend Shawn, who's coming to dinner with us tonight, who lost her mom. Shivani just turned 24. She lost her mom last January. I'm thinking of my BFF, Hallie, one of my BFFs, along with my Ellen and Lisa and many others. She lost both her parents in the last 18 months, and it goes on and on. So just, holidays in general are remembering who's not there. My friend Sue, her dad died a few months ago, and, his stocking was at the top of the box. So anyway, I just think we have to acknowledge that this is a hard time, and it is very stressful and sad. And it's okay. It's okay to say, look, this is going to be a really hard holiday, and make space for those feelings. And that's why I want you to have your support team. Who do you need to reach out to? So I think when the world is saying one thing and you experience another, you feel you're isolated from yourself, and it doesn't feel okay. And then the other is, for many, and I work with, brilliant clients who are all trying to make changes and do things healthier. So, I've been in conversation with a number of clients who are deciding not to go home for the holidays, that in fact, being with their family, and they have toxic relationships, that this is not a good choice for them. So they're not going, which, in many ways is a healthy choice, but it's also, now how do they create their new traditions, and how do you celebrate holidays? So, Donna, we were talking about, some people are deciding, the COVID and the travel, it is a reset. So people aren't returning to be with their families, and they're having to create new opportunities, but it's challenging. So it's challenging when things are different.
Yeah. You said so many unbelievably really good things, but I wrote this one down, when the world says one thing and you feel different, it doesn't feel okay. And there's a consistency in the dissonance that we do feel. I mean, you talked about it, about self-compassion. Why are we not self-compassionate? Well, the world tells us that we are caregivers, not caretakers. Mm-hmm. We have to work through that. The world tells us there are others more valuable than us, and we have to try to find our own value. So there's consistency in the dissonance of messages that we get all the time, and the ability to take a step back and then really see them, and then have the strength and courage to acknowledge that there is dissonance, right? Because on one hand, you want to accept the collective. Yes. In light of the fact is that you said, but it doesn't feel okay.
Yeah. And what happens when we don't is that you internalize it. You say, what's wrong with me? I'm not feeling the joy of the holidays. So what's wrong with me? Versus kind of acknowledging, look, this is what the world is saying, but really honoring your own personal experience. So that's the important thing, is that we don't blame ourselves, right? We don't sort of look at what's wrong with us, but we just, part of the challenge of being healthy and whole is, how do we show up for ourselves? And just spend time to acknowledge and ask, how am I feeling? Right. And again, the holiday season has many messages and many images and pictures. And so I think it's important just to ask and to figure out, how are you feeling? And yes, the other, I have to say, and Donna, you inspired me. I was a little bah humbug on Monday, and, and
I think so.
I was a little bah humbug. And, when I'm kind of, this week, especially being called to be the positivity god, it's like, I'm not always completely positive, but when I'm here with you, when I'm here with people that I love, when I'm sharing the gifts I have to offer, I am always happy, because that's my gift, and I'm happy to give gifts. So I will say, the thing that's important that I've needed to be reminded is, I'm happiest on the other hand, when I am giving to others, and in the season, if I'm not giving, then, it doesn't feel as right. So I do think kindness and generosity, and yes, the end of the year, people are asking to donate to causes and, what can you do for others? But to take that on, how can you give to others? So it's, caring for yourself, but also I actually like to push people to be more generous. So in some ways, again, I dress up more when I feel bad. So I even put on Grandma Sylvia's pearls and Grandma Sophie's diamond earrings, and these are called positive primes. Okay, so just the act of me saying I had to think about Grandma Sylvia, and actually this necklace is Grandma Sylvia's pearls that my dad put in a little container that said for Aaliyah, Mia, and Noah. So these are actually Aaliyah's pearls, but my daughter doesn't want Grandma's pearls, and Grandma Sophie. So I think also I'm going many places, but positive primes, which are things that make you happy.
I love that. Let me just refresh. I just want to say hello to everybody who joined us in the last half hour. We are celebrating, if you will, and recalibrating our celebrating. Our last refresh of the season with Deb Levy. She called herself the positive goddess, I think.
No. You called me the guide, not the positive goddess.
Talking about, how we can stress less. We did joke around with from oi to joy, and oi to joy now has become one of the thematics in our office. We say it 15 times all day. It makes us laugh, but also draws out some of the things that we're feeling that we can discuss. And I think that's going to continue for the rest of 2022, Deb. So that's a gift from you as well.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank everybody for being here. But on these positive, and listen, everybody, if you have something you want to share, love it. And Highness Finkenberg, how are you? Nice to hear from you. So I have positive primes, and every day I do this, right? So everybody always likes to comment on my shark's tooth necklace. And my shark's tooth necklace was given to me as a surprise, as a holiday gift by my son, Jacob. Because since he's been a young boy, he has been the shark tooth hunter master. He can go out on the beach and find 10 shark's teeth in 10 minutes. I can spend 10 years and maybe find one, but he's taught me, and it's something we've done together. I can't tell you, I went to a wedding the other day with weddings, jewels, shark tooth, positive prime. And then my son, Zach, how about that? A little heart, whatever, bought me that. So I wear that every day. I don't even take it off ever. And then this bracelet is from my honey, from my MG. And we got it in Jerusalem. So every day, it doesn't matter. It's just like this comfort that I didn't know what words were for it, but they are with me in these things every day. It makes me so happy.
I love that. Good. I have I wear the fancy ring that my niece Noah made me. Look at her little jeweler. All right. So Donna, thank you. I forget the brilliant things I said earlier in the week. So I did, and part of my process of getting ready for this, that it was stressful. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not feeling like the positivity goddess or queen right now. So then I shifted and I said, what are the joys and oys of the holidays? So maybe we can ask the studio audience to put in some of their oys.
That's a really good idea. Okay. Studio audience, which I guess, in COVID new world land, that's our Zoom chat. And our Facebook chat. We've got a lot of people on Facebook too. All right.
Donna, give me.
Mackenzie's with us. Mackenzie, what's your oi? She says, that's amazing. Of course.
Thank you.
What's an oi? Unable to see family. That's a really big thing, right? The limitation of travel. I can really relate to that because I've been scheduled to go to Israel to see my son, who I've not seen in months and months and months and months. I've already had 2 trips canceled, and it's anyone's guess whether we get there or not. I totally get that, right? Joys are some downtime. Absolutely. All right, Tiffany, the oys of the season. Family stress. It's really funny. Jill says it's not so bad. Nobody really wants to talk out loud about family stress. There's so much pressure to keep that family photo where everyone's smiling together intact in our hearts and our minds. You know what I mean? We don't really want to deconstruct that.
Yeah. And especially, and again, the kind of model families and, I think many of us have, family configurations that are different than others. People deal with divorce, people deal with death, people deal with conflicts. And so the pressure to have a family in that way, many people are isolated from their families. Many people don't have families. So I do think it's really important. I think about people who, are GLBT trans, and going home is just either they don't go home or they have to pretend. So these holidays are very, very, very stressful. I think the good part of the pandemic, and one of the silver linings, is people are doing some resetting, and it's giving the pandemic is giving people in some ways the excuse and opportunity to say, no, I don't want to return. I don't want to do it this way. I want to figure out holiday celebrations that work for me, that honor what's important to me. So the other thing that I would put at people's at the holiday table is meaningful activities. And really the question is, during this season, what's meaningful to you? And again, meaningful can be connection. It actually can be, spiritual renewal. Solstice is coming. It can be, getting time for yourself. It can be making things for people, connecting. So what's meaningful to you? I think that's the question. The world says this is what's meaningful, but what is meaningful to you?
And I think that's really great. What is meaningful? I actually had that discussion last night. I want to be intentional about my actions. What is the most meaningful? And it sounds like easy, and you can say it's my family, yes, it's my friends, yes, it's the work we do, it's the impact we have, it's gatherings like this. It's great. I do. Now here's an oi from Bridget. I'm picking out an oi. My son's going away with his dad and family, and this is where co-parenting gets annoying. But God bless Bridget. She says, but I choose to see the benefits it provides for my son. And you know what? That does dispel some of that stress, right? It's like, I don't like this. This is not good for me. Yes. But you know what? It is good for me because it's good for him, and what's good for him is good for me.
Yes. Well, thank you, Bridget. Some of the work I've been doing this past year is running groups, positive intelligence groups, so PQ groups. And next year I'll be offering some new ones, and it's work done by Shahrzad Shameen. And it says that every challenging moment is a gift and opportunity. So what's the gift and opportunity, and how do we shift from judging? So we tend to judge ourselves, we judge others, and we judge our circumstances. And the goal of positive intelligence and PQ is to shift to your sage brain that says, okay, how can I look at this in a different way? And how can I see the gift and opportunity? And that mindset actually helps you shift your energy perspective and your mood. So I do think, so thank you, Bridget. And one of the key pieces is, what mindset are you going to go into the holidays with? Are you going to go into the end of the year with, and continue? So the mindset of seeing what are the gifts and opportunities right now. And, I'm glad we're talking about this today. So you can choose, look, I want to have a healthy mindset. It might not be a positive mindset, but I want to have a healthy mindset. And some of that might be just acceptance. I'm accepting that this is how things are right now. I want to be present with what is. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm not going to judge the situation. So, but really, and it takes effort. That's not easy. It's not easy.
Right. No, totally. I want to welcome Carla, who's with us on Facebook. Hi, Carla. How are you? Happy holidays to you. We're all talking about how we can de-stress or stress a little less, move from the oi to the joy. We came up with lots of good ones. This recalibration of celebration, all these good things, Deb. You see, all of that energy we've been able to channel into positive, good things that make us smile. I like that. I really do like that, because this can be a really tough time.
Yeah, good. All right, so I'll get to some of the positivity. So then the other is, how do you, find positivity? And for many, many people, I want to say the holidays are about celebrations. They have traditions that bring them joy. And so I'm not always talking to those people, but even people whose holidays are full of joy, a lot of my clients have been talking about doing it in a simpler way. Okay, taking less pressure off, right? I have one client whose kids are going to cook the family meal for the first time, and she's not going to have to do it. So I do think kind of taking the pressure off, but finding things that you do that bring you joy, that bring positive emotions. So for some, that's making something. It could be, it could be playing games. It could be listening to music. It could be spending time with people. So finding positive activities and maybe trying something new. So So playtime, there are lots of things. I love to see the lights. I haven't gone yet to kind of drive around in places that have these big light shows for the holidays. So I think to spend some time and decide what are things that are fun for you. I want to go to a Celtics game. Did you watch you were in New York. You didn't get to watch Steph Curry.
I got to New York yesterday.
Donna.
I didn't even think about it. The Warriors were playing the Knicks. Now, I don't know if anybody here is a basketball fan, but even if you're not, you have to be a Stephen Curry fan. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about it. And he set the record, the all-time three-point last night. The Garden had to be electric. What a moment. What a moment.
Yeah. So I want to get some basketball, and I might go watch Sherry's game on Friday. So I like to get some basketball games in. So again, that brings me joy. So the other things I've been having conversations with clients is, and we, in this culture, we tend to focus on Christmas and what that is. But some of it is, thinking about what's next for you. So for some, it's what's next. What are other things you're looking forward to in the holiday week if you have that time off? Now, my partner, he's a doctor, and we don't do big holiday celebrations. So he always signs up to be on call during the holidays so other people can enjoy them. Also, my beautiful daughter, she works at a hotel, works hard. She's covering and working Christmas Day because other people have celebrations and she's doing that. So I think just to acknowledge everyone doesn't get these times. But the other thing as a coach, it's a time of year of reflection. So I think spending time to look at what are the 21 things that you accomplished, 21 good things that happened. Okay, we do 3 things every day, but just to remember. So for me to remember, the clients that I work with, the opportunities that I did, that I'm going to Israel next year, and I'm going to be a coach with with Ellen, and we're going to be doing the Maccabee games. So looking back to think about what are the things that you accomplished in the last year, and then what are things you're looking forward to. That's an important thing. It's called savoring the present, which is taking the moment to really be present with what's good. Thinking about the past, which is the reminiscing, and also savoring the future. So having things to look forward to. All right. So the second week in February, I'm finally reuniting with my high school BFFs who are going to be listening to this. So we're going to New York. That's with my Lisa and my Sue and my Patty and my Margaret and my Karen. So we're going to regather in New York. So just knowing that in February, that's going to be happening. So it is a good time of year to be thinking about what's next for you. What are things that you're looking forward to? And if you don't have any, to plan them. That keeps us going right now.
I think that's all great. I think it's all great. I think actually one of my most fun times, and it just prompted me, is with our team that, we should sit down one more time and savor what we've accomplished this year, because it's been extraordinary, and by not savoring it, it becomes ordinary, and we do ourselves a disservice in that, right?
Yeah. That's good. So the next thing, so the things at the table, just, make the pictures. We have meaningful activities, self-compassion, radical self-care, rest and recovery, grief and sadness, positive connections. So the other is, and I said it, kindness and generosity. So the other is to think about who is having a hard time. Sometimes actually, if I'm having a hard time, I'm happiest when I'm giving to others. So as we think about ourselves and self-compassion, who in your community, in your family, are the holidays hard for, and how can you reach out to them? I think about, we leave a place for Elijah at our Passover tables, and how can we leave places on our tables, in our hearts, for people who are suffering? And that's like individuals. That's also kind of, it is the time of year you can volunteer and donate money if you have the resources, but to be extra generous. But who is suffering? The research on gratitude, the research on social comparison, so it's never healthy. And that's really one of the stressors of the holidays, is kind of, I call it the Facebook nation, that people are sending their pictures and they're sending their holiday cards of their beautiful families. And again, when you don't experience that, your reality, you feel the dissonance. But it is, social comparison is only good when it leads to gratitude and say, look, it could be worse. So whatever's going on, it could be worse. And I was kind of whatever mood I was in. And then my husband was telling me, one of his patients died, a child. Oy, 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 oy. So, there's families, there's people who are suffering. I turned the news on and listening about these families in Kentucky. So I do think kind of really, one is just to appreciate that it could be worse. And 2, to really think about what can we do for the social causes, the people who are suffering, and how can we give more? So it is the time of year that I push people, how can you give more? How can I personally give more?
Right. So let me just, you know what, Deb, you mentioned savoring some of the things we've accomplished, and we talked a little bit about this. And we went back and we've actually looked at some of the great learnings we had from our guests this year. So from someone like Susan McPherson, who is the connection guru. She was just recognized for some big award. Very nice for her. But she talked about connection is valuable to your health. And there's never been a more important time to be connected. Again, dovetails with everything that you've said. Or Heidi Hanna, who's our neuroscientist, who she said, she reminded us that we benefit by being together and that it increases our capacity. And again, to support your other science, she shared with us that self-care is not selfish. I love that, right? I think that just supports everything that you have said. What I'd love to be able to do is you've put together 3 reminders of things that we should take away, although I have a definitely full page of that. Sherry, why don't you pull that up? Recalibrate how you celebrate, Deb. This is you. Do you want to go through it? You want me to read it?
You do it, Donna.
Okay. Be kind and compassionate to yourself and others. Check mark. Invest in what is meaningful and positive for you. You know what, though? I'm going to come back to a question for you. Be open to the new opportunities and the magic of the holidays. All right. I'm going to just dig a little bit deeper on number 2. How do I find out what's meaningful and positive for me? I think people sometimes struggle with what that is.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a young woman recently. Like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think the important thing is to ask the question, right? What is meaningful to you? What do you care about? Right? What are the things that you care about? What do you value? Right? What do you, it's kind of what do you enjoy doing? But it's to look at, what do you value? So it is your values. That's part of it, is kind of your values. It's also, I think so, it's asking the question, what is meaningful to me? For some, again, this holiday season, it's about connection, it's about family, it's about giving. For some, it's meaningful to be making contributions. I like to do the strengths test that we all do. That's a positive psychology strengths test that you can do at the via me.org. And so it looks at what are our values. So for me, my top strengths values are kindness and generosity, humor, gratitude, leadership, and social intelligence, right? So it's just a kind of what's important to you, what means something, what brings you, gives you purpose. So I think it's the asking of the questions. That's why it's hard. Yeah, what's meaningful to you? What matters to you? What really matters? What really, really matters?
Right. What really, really, really matters, and how do I judge that? Right.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I guess for me and many, I know if Irene's still around, she moderated a panel that featured this extraordinary woman. She was with us a couple of weeks ago. I think you might have been a visitor with us, Deb, on that one, which is Nilafar Rahmani, who was the first female pilot in the Afghani and only Air Force. She has endured more challenge than I think any of us really could imagine. I'm not diminishing the really difficult challenges we all face, but her story is incredible and how she continues to pursue. And we actually grabbed her quotes and reminder in this season of celebrating. And I think, Sherry, you're going to share them with us? I thought they would resonate, especially with you too, Deb, which is the 2 best days of your life are when you were born and the day you realized why you were born. And that totally relates to what we're talking about now, which is what are my values? How do I come to understand them? How do I come to prioritize them, which is a good word from Bridget? And then how do I come to act upon them? It's really powerful.
Yeah.
At 21 years old, she defied literally the entire military system in Afghanistan to earn her wings and fly, and then come here on her own and having to declare for amnesty, if you will. She had to become, she was a refugee before she was able to be recognized. It's just, she's an incredible, incredible woman. And I know that I have been asking people, her family just got here from Afghanistan. They were luckily airlifted. And so it's a family I think about supporting. She has a GoFundMe. We'll put that in the $5, $10 from anyone, everyone show support. But this is a family who literally came from a beautiful life to now one that they have to start over again in the holiday season. Matter of fact, I made a note in when you reminded us to do these things, I need to check in with Neelafar to see how she's doing. Because we all have Neelafars in our life, right?
Right. So good. Yeah. So really, so to check in with those people, it makes me think of a couple of things. And one, there's good research on kindness that if I gave you $25, Donna, and I said, buy something for yourself, or if I gave you, that's one condition. I gave you $25 and said, spend it on someone else. In fact, you'll have more joy and happiness from spending it on someone else. So I do think the season and the message of giving to others. So I do think that question, what's your purpose? So I've done a little kind of some spiritual work, and one of my tips for the holidays is do something new. So I got a new tarot deck. All right. So I'm reading tarot cards. I'm new. I'm trying to be a baby witch, and I pulled the sun today. Look at that. I know I am.
For our studio audience, I didn't realize that. We have to add that to her bio. And Deb Levy, baby witch.
Baby witch. Okay, so this is fun for me. So it's the sun, and the sun this was a good one for me to pick today. Joy, inspirational success, abundance and fulfillment, exuberant creativity, positivity, love, manifesting dreams, inner beauty, and a yes card. All right. So that was sort of my message. The other day I picked the moon, and that was kind of like a deeper, darker one. Anyway, so doing something new. So I think that that's important. I want to just go back to kind of what your essence is. So in some of the spiritual work, I did some astrological readings. I know there's things you don't know about me, Donna. But anyway, my mission is to love others. And that feels in alignment with me. I'm here to love. Now, the problem is that, in some ways kind of COVID and some life and isolation is I honestly need more opportunities to love. Okay. So again, I have a lot of love to give. And for me, the holidays is what I'm going to start doing more of, is pushing to give that love. When I'm giving my love.
Good. That's awesome. Good. That's awesome. So let me just say this. So our time is coming to an end. And I want to thank you from my heart. You have given us so many great ideas. And it's clear that there's so much learning and teaching that you can provide inspiration for all of us. So thank you for those you shared with us today, the riches of your learning, your motivations. But the great news is Deb Levy has agreed to be one of our workshop leaders at Generation W, which I'm going to talk about in April. So Deb, we got more of you. Thank you so much. Here's some of the notes I wrote. I wrote tons of them. But the red ones are: honor your own personal experience. How do we show up for ourselves? Every challenging moment is a gift and an opportunity. I always do like that. I always try to find that bright side. And then, wrapping that all up is, who can we help and be a gift in easing the hardships? And in that gift, right, the hardships that we help ease in a way fills us up as well. And that's not being selfish. Right? That's being selfless, and the joys of being selfless. So thanks, Deb. We look ahead. Yes, Deb.
So one more thing, and I forget that I'm a businesswoman who have run an industrial complex here. So I am a business life coach and executive coach. And so one of the gifts that I do is I do free initial coaching discovery sessions. And this is the time of year where people are stressed or people are thinking about what's next for them. So Deb at Coaching is good. I do free sessions. That's my kindness and generosity. So if anyone is struggling, anyone wants to start thinking about what's next, please reach out to me.
Deb at coaching.com.
Deb at coachingisgood.com.
All right. I want to make sure I have it. Deb at coachingisgood.com. Awesome. So we look ahead to 2022. Well, I should say with joy. Generation W, the power of connection. I am so excited about this. We have amazing speakers. Obviously, Deb's going to be one of our workshop leaders, and engagement will be on the agenda as it always is. And we are so excited. The theme is connection, and our hope, our dream, our prayer is that we will be connecting in person live. And Joy Kurtz, I so hope that you can make it. We will love on you, woman. Early bird tickets are on sale right now, and the excitement does abound. Please consider joining us. I think we have usually people come from around the country, representing at least 30 countries. 30 states. I wrote countries. The beautiful one, Ocean Hotel. will be our host again, and Hearts and Minds Educated, Inspired, Connected. It will be really, really special. I will say this, I went back again looking at our previous speakers, and in our 2021 preview show, which was, we did that one virtually, Dr. Orender Johnson spoke to how Generation W broadened her perspective and showed her that she had the potential to make a contribution she did not think about. And Susan Renners, our friend from Nintendo, spoke about her professional growth enabled by Generation W. And Charlene Landon said, I love this, I turn off my phone and I just listen. I come as a sponge to absorb everything I can. So here, everybody, our holiday wish for next year is to being a sponge, to having a happy holiday. And please do not hesitate to reach out to us if we can be helpful in any way at Generation W. We just completed an incredible vision board experience for our teen girls yesterday, led by Tara Jackson. Tara, we hope you're feeling better. We had over 80 girls think about how they vision their future as part of our Leadership Academy and our Teen Girl Generation WOW work. A big thank you to Sherry Levin, our producer, who is spot on for every show. And she has made our rehearsals on every Wednesday. We have them such an enjoyable experience. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sherry. And to our entire Generation W team, Katie Graham, for your support, your creativity, for being on Facebook, for Don Rodriguez, Tiffany Walter, thanks, Tiff, for manning our chat today, Tara Jackson, Kasha, and of course, Glory Katz. On behalf of my always present co-host, Lola, this is you, baby. See her tits moving. We say stress less, happy holiday, happy new year, and we'll see you soon. We're never far. Be well.